Guys, welcome. Thanks for joining live right now. Today is going to be a lot of fun because it's all about you guys. It's going to be a subscriber based show. So you guys get to tell me what you want to see out here. I want you to feel like you're out fishing. I know that we're all stir crazy. You guys have got cabin fever. You want to be out fishing, but you're doing your part, making sure you're doing social distancing and may not have access to a local lake right now or have the time to do it. So I made my way out into the water and I'm bringing you guys along with me. So we've been asking questions and wondering what you want to see some more of. And we've got a lot of feedback. And so we're going to go through a lot of those different recommendations and questions throughout the next hour or so. And starting with what baits to begin picking apart an area, a certain area, and then how you go about picking apart that area. We have two different questions pertaining to that. So a great question. All of us, when we go out fishing, we want to figure out where and what they're biting on. So I'm going to show you guys some real versatile lures, and we're going to go just through this little arm right here in this cove, and fish the different terrain and stuff and talk about it. I've been on the water kind of since about noon today, and I fished most of the other part of the lake, but I have not fished this arm. So we're going to pick it apart. Even if we don't get bit throughout this whole arm in the next 30 minutes, I'll be able to assess what happened and probably be able to come up with some little clues as to how to go catch fish throughout the rest of the lake. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys being with me. I want you to feel like you're out on the water. So I hope you're sitting back. I hope you're comfortable. And you know, I know that when we sit down on the couch or we're watching fishing videos, our significant others, whether it's our wife or our kids or whatever, that don't understand the bass fishing world, they look at us and just kind of shrug at us and roll their eyes. So if you really want to have some fun today, go out to your garage, go out to your boat right now, grab your life vest and come back into the house and sit down where you're going to watch for the next hour and really feel like you're out on the boat. I want you to get really into that mode, really feel the energy of being out on the boat with me, hanging out here. And we're going to be reading your comments. We've got Kate working the live feed, and we've got Rachel in the comment section, both our Lucky Tackle Box teammates, and they are going to be relaying everything to me as we have some fun. So you guys can see it's 70 degrees. It's a beautiful day out right now. It's 70 degrees. And if you guys are looking at my outfit and you're like, what is he wearing? Why does he look like a little hipster out here? The reason being is I knew it was going to be a warm day, and I packed all my clothes, but I left from the coastline this morning. It was foggy and cold, and I had a 3-hour drive. So I put on sweats and just comfortable driving clothes, got to the lake where it was a lot warmer and beautiful. And so I looked around to change into my clothes, and I would imagine they are somewhere on my kitchen table because they are definitely not in my boat or my car. So I had to improvise, roll up the sweats today and just kind of sweat it out. So if you guys can imagine a little bit of a sweaty BO smell too, just so you guys can understand what it's like being out on the water right now. I'm getting little whiffs from myself and kind of questioning when the last time I showered was. I realized that during this quarantine, I haven't been showering a whole lot. And the times I have showered are for every live. Every time we go live, I end up taking a shower. And that's like my excuse to do some kind of grooming. And we haven't done a live in a few days. So I'm a little worried. We're going to have to make sure I take a shower when I get home tonight. But guys, thanks for tuning in. I think we saw some people from Michigan, Florida, even Mexico. And so now we're at the mouth. Guys, let's talk about the plan of attack here, guys. We are at the mouth of this little arm. I think this lake drains out right over here. And so here's the main lake behind me. And this whole arm goes back in here. And we've got lily pads. We've got subtle little points. We've got some wood, some gravel. And so I'm going to just slowly work my way back in here. The deepest, I think, my graph's not on right now, but I think I'm in about 7 feet of water right here, which is the deepest. It probably jumps up into about 5 feet. within the next 50 yards. And that's going to be our kind of average depth range is anywhere from 3 to 5 feet as we work our way back into this cove. And so I want to have a wide variety of baits that I can fish the different things I'm going to run into right now. And you guys have heard me when I talk about figuring out a body of water that I haven't been to in a while or that I've never been to. I always mention the hot lap. And so that's what we're going to do right now. I have not fished this in probably a few weeks. I haven't fished this arm. And so we're going to do the hot lap where we cover water quickly. Now, we're not just going to, skip over a bunch of stuff. We want to make sure that we can check out all the key areas and we've got the right baits to make casts to those key areas. But it's not so much about fishing it perfectly. You want to just get through that whole area and see if anything sticks out to you. If you notice anything, if there's a bunch of bait fish in a certain area, what the water clarity is, if you do get bit, where are you getting bit? Are you having fish follow up your baits? You're just looking for any kind of clues, but you want to keep yourself moving. The biggest mistake I made for a lot of years was coming out to a body of water, kind of working down a bank, not getting bit, and then immediately slowing down, thinking that's what I needed to go do to get bit. And the reality is, especially in the spring, you need to cover water. Most likely there's fish that are feeding somewhere in that body of water. So you want to make sure you're using common bait, stuff that you can cover all the water depths and situations. But then you want to just cover that water and find those active areas. So that's how we're going to approach this little creek arm. Now, this is a lake that I do fish at least once a week, and so when you come out to a familiar area that you maybe haven't fished in a week, 2 weeks, what I often do is I'll go to the last place that I had fish. So whether I fished it yesterday or whether I fished it 2 weeks ago, the last place I caught my fish, I will go there and I'll test it out. Are the fish bigger? Did they leave? Are they biting different? Are they still there? And that can usually give me a clue of the adjustments I need to make from there. So that's when I'm fishing more familiar water. So right now I'm throwing the lipless. I'm now in about 5 feet of water and I'm getting this bait down to the bottom. As these fish move in as they move into pre-spawn, they are going to use this little channel that comes through here. They're going to kind of, they'll follow the little edges, but they'll also follow out here in the middle, and they'll make their way back into these little cuts and things where they're going to build their nests and spawn. And then once they're done spawning, they're going to move back out throughout all these areas that they used as they moved in. And so that's what I can do with this lipless is I can fan cast out here, really check out these different areas and see if I don't pick up a fish. And if you find a fish that's offshore like this time of the year, chances are there's going to be a whole lot more of them as well, because they'll really bunch up in these big creek arms, and then they'll disperse at different times to go up and spawn, and then they'll reverse and they'll come back out to the same areas. All right, so the lipless, we're going to work the bank as we come down here. But as I get into these little spots, I mean, look at this. Look at these lily pads and things right here. Sparse lily pads are fantastic. And so as I come to these lily pads, I'm going to fish them. I got a couple different baits that I can fish out of them. I have, yes. And one of the questions we got was how to fish vegetation with jigs. And that's the first thing I'm actually going to do here. I've got a little punch setup. This is a little cross style bait. And this is a little sneak peek as well, because this setup is coming in your post-spawn box. So all you existing subscribers, you will be getting this setup in your April box. And so this thing is a 3/4 ounce tungsten weight. I've got it pegged with a bobber stop. I got a little punch and hook on here, and I've got this little Gambler craw. It's a blue and green pumpkin crawdad. It's the two like basically most common colors together on either side. And what I'm doing is I'm just flipping around these little toolies and stuff. I mean, these little lily pads. And I'm looking for the lily pads that look a little bit different. And there's parts of this this lake that are just full, just stacked with lily pads. And then there's areas that just have little sparse, just little patches. And that's really what I'm looking for, is these little isolated patches, because that will hold fish a lot better. Those little isolated patches seem to be kind of better hot spots, whether it is because the fish like that more or just because it concentrates them on smaller little areas. So as I come through here, yeah, go ahead, Rachel. Jay John, I've got an older Hummingbird side imaging setup up front right here. He asked what electronics I'm using, but right now I don't even have it on. And I don't need it for the way I'm fishing right now. I've got lures that are going to cover everything. There's always stuff you can use from your electronics, but I know that a lot of people do not have electronics or don't have a lot of confidence in their electronics, and so I try to show techniques, and I try to do as much fishing without them when I'm showing this kind of stuff. Because if you learn to catch fish without your electronics, once you figure out your electronics, it'll help you that much more, and you won't have to just rely on the electronics. So guys, I'm coming in here, I'm making my little cast into this patch right here, just flipping. I'm letting that bait slowly sink down once it hits those lily pads. So if you watch, it'll land on the lily pad, and then I'll shake it till it goes through. Still hasn't fallen down through yet. There we go. And then I slowly let my rod tip drop down, and I'll give it a couple lifts, and then I'll go to the next target. And a lot of times, be ready for that bait to get hit. As you're trying to shake it on top of that lily pad to fall through, they'll be sitting there ready to eat it. And the second it falls through, they will hammer it, and you got to be ready to set that hook. Yep. Ooh, chocolate milk. You want dark colors, black and blue, black with some red flake. When you've got real dark water, if you use a real dark bait, that silhouette shows up really well in that type of water. And then you also want something with some big flappers. This bait I'm using, Gambler Lures little craw-bait, does have some good flappers as well. The more that, as those appendages go down and they displace water as you're hopping it up and down, the fish will feel that and they'll hone in. Because remember, the bass, they're not just keying into the sight, they're keying into the feel. And if you have real dingy water, those bass are actually relying on their other senses, their lateral line, their feel, to locate those baits. More so than sight. But when you're fishing crystal clear reservoirs and things like Lake Mead, Lake Havasu out here, they're more relating to sight. So you want baits that look very natural and that actually don't make a lot of noise. So now, another bait I've got on you guys, I'm switching over to a little frog. This time of the year, bass, they want to be shallow. This is where they're going to, I just spooked one right up there. All right, so that's something to take note of. You guys, the first cast I cast up there, something went darting off. And whether that was a bass, I'm going to kind of assume that it was. But we want to just kind of take note that they definitely are up against that bank. If they're that shallow, it's most likely they're on beds right now, or getting ready to make a bed. Uh-oh, what just died? Oh, my GoPro just died, huh? Kate, can you hear me? Yeah, put me on the full screen. That wasn't supposed to happen. All right, guys. So the frog is a perfect bait to throw up. It's weedless. It's weedless, and you can throw it up on the shore, and then you can walk it out, walk it into the water. Because if these bass are right up shallow, getting ready to spawn, you don't really want to cast on their head. And so you can cast up shallower than them and bring it out to them. And give me just a sec, guys. I'm gonna toss a fresh battery into the GoPro. Yeah, it is an absolutely beautiful day out. 70 degrees, working on the tan. Life is not bad. And what do we got? We got some comments and stuff, Rachel? That's a good question. Who asked that? Joseph Angler asking about some of these jointed baits. And what my thoughts are. I do like them. My hang up with a lot of them. Oops, I almost got this going here. About to go live again here. Oh, does it say connecting? Okay, good. Oh, good. We're back. All right. All right, the jointed baits. My hang up with some of the smaller baits is they look great in the water, and I do like them, but they're very hard to cast accurately, and so for that reason they really have a limited amount of applications or times that you can use them, that you can actually use a lot of other baits as well. But if you watched the bait fishing that we did, the bait fishing live we did on Wednesday of last week, and then on Saturday morning, actually out on the water, I talked about those type of baits, because although they can be a little bit frustrating on a boat and just not as efficient as some of your other tools, on a pond, they can be great because they can be worked slow, right along the, right out in the middle of the pond. And a lot of bass haven't seen those baits. A lot of people are not throwing those baits on those little ponds. And if they're chewing it, they'll let you know in a hurry. So I always recommend throwing those type of baits when you're out on your local pond. A good question. Oh, yes, Carolina rig. Yeah, we had a question for Carolina rig. I do not have a Carolina rig set up, so I won't be doing a Carolina rig, unfortunately, at the moment. But let's keep working our way down the bank. So look at, I've got some lily pads up real shallow. When fish have cover up shallow, they will stay up shallow more. They'll feel more comfortable. If it's just wide open, they might be up shallow, but the second you cast up to them, they may take off. They may spook them real quick. So I think you guys could see on the GoPro, I'm just casting up in these little patches right here and just working that frog through. And as I'm working through here, I may be going over fish. I'm working this kind of quick. I'm just trying to figure out, I'm just hoping the fish will show me something. And I'm coming up to another little patch right here. I'm going to pick up that little punch setup again that you guys are going to be getting. But here's the thing. I'm going to throw this one more time. So I'm going to throw it to this patch. Then there's another patch coming up in about another 20 to 30 yards I'm going to pick up a different bait because I want to be testing out what these fish are responding to. I have a lot of confidence that there is fish somewhere around this little patch right here. This just looks perfect. They can hang out right here, move up shallow to spawn, or hang out right here and then keep moving further back in this creek as they want. So if I don't get bit right here, I'm going to say that I'm going to say this. I still think there's fish. I just think it's not presenting the right bait to them. So I just pitched on one side, pitched in the middle right now, and now my next cast is going to go to the end. Possibly get through there. Here we go. All right. So we didn't get bit. I am not using the lipless. I'm switching back. I'm actually going to get to this lipless in just a second. But right now, I'm going to go to a spinning setup here, and I'm going to throw a wacky rig with a little weighted hook here. And I actually have the chartreuse tail as well. And so I'm putting that right in front of that little patch there. Let that sink to the bottom. If I don't get bit, I'm going to give it a couple shakes, let it sink again. If I still don't get bit, I'm going to reel it up and cast to the other side of it. This is a little wacky rig with a weighted head. So I don't think we have a graphic of this. Nice. Remember, guys, ask your questions. I'm fishing for you guys today. As we get through here, things should start heating up. So we've... All right, guys, and let's have some fun too. At the end of this feed, we're going to pick somebody who asked. We're going to pick one of the questions to win whatever bait I catch the most fish on today. So whatever bait gets the most action, we are going to pick a comment at the end of this hour, and I will send it out to you. I'll cut it off the rod here, and I'll send it out. So now I'm getting into the back of this. Back of this little creek here, and now I'm doing some fan casting. And as I get into the back, I'm actually going to go up shallow because now I'm going to go look for some fish. At the last little spot I cast up shallow, I spooked a fish up shallow, but I didn't actually go up and look. So now I'm going to actually go up there and browse around a little bit and see what's up there. See if there's bass up there, see if there's bluegill, see what kind of cover and structure's up there. I want to know how many people that are watching. How many are actually in states where they can fish? How many of you guys are actually doing some fishing right now? And then how many of you guys are just kind of laying low? Yep, a lot of people sound like they're having to use kayaks or fish from the shore. Well, we have put a bunch of, we just did 2 different videos on bank fishing, and then we just put our whole playlist together that has 7 or 8 shore fishing videos. So if you guys are looking for some tips and tricks on shore fishing, check that playlist out. Just go to our YouTube channel and look for the shore fishing playlist. So once again, guys, you can see that I am throwing this little frog in the back in here. And wow, that looks good. You got shade against these tulies. You've got the lily pads against the tulies. Man, I made a pretty good cast right there. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of just shaking this frog because it's actually just walking along the top of these lily pads, and these bass pick up on the vibrations. They can see the silhouette a little bit, and once it goes over an opening, if there's a bass tracking it, it's waiting till it gets to the opening. Once it gets to the opening, that bass will just smash it. Good. That's a good question. When's a good time to throw a drop shot versus the Ned rig? It depends what the bottom is like, and how the fish are feeding on stuff. And so how's my feedback here too, guys? Are you guys getting a good connection right now? Good. Okay. Man, this looks good here. All right, so if you're fishing gravel or hard bottom, that's when you can throw a Ned rig. If you're seeing, if you're fishing bed fishing and stuff, and it's not there's not too much stuff to hang up on. Oh, gosh, guys, I just swatted a giant whatever that thing is. It got smashed on the frog. There we go, guys. That fish was shallow. And that is a good size bass. Holy cow. That's what I'm talking about. And hopefully you guys are seeing the GoPro view right now. That fish was way up against those tulies there. In between the tulies and the lily pads right there, there's some open water. And that's where it smashed it. Wow. And that is no deeper than a foot of water right there. This bass has got, it's a little bit beat up. It's got a little bit of, blood on its fins and stuff. That's because this fish is probably up on a bed. So when you catch these fish, you definitely want to assess them and see what they look like. And you can kind of tell what they've been doing up there. So guys, I want to get this fish back in the water. So guess the weight right now. I'm going to weigh it real fast so we can actually have some fun here. But normally I put it in the live well for a minute and then we weigh it. But the thing is, I want to get this fish back in the water if it came off of a bed so that it can get back on that bed. So here we go. What are your guesses? This fish is 2 pounds, 10 ounces. Fish number 1. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fishy. I like it. Like even the geese are like, sweet. All right, 2.6 was the closest guess, Ken. All right. Yeah, the fish definitely show up. They look different depending on what camera you're watching on and everything. And these fish are nice and healthy too. I've actually been surprised at a lot of the weights of these fish. That was, okay, Stephen wants to know about how do you decide what lure to use when you're at a new lake? And the answer to that is there's no secret lures really. It's not so much about that when you're at a new lake. It's about having a lure that you can fish the terrain at that lake. What we've just gone through right here, I've got a little gravel point that goes out right here. I've got tulies. I've got open water. I've got some wood that's on the other side here. So I want to have different baits. I've got let's see, 6 different rods on the deck right now, set up with 6 different baits, so that I can. So when I get to a spot that looks good, I can pick up the right lure to fish that correctly. And as I finish my little hot lap through here, hopefully I have gotten enough signs to what the lake looks like, to what works the best in terms of being able to fish it the most efficiently, and what the fish have responded to. So right now there's a couple things that we've been clued into. When I threw this frog earlier, right up shallow, we spooked the fish off. So right there it told me, okay, there are some very, very shallow fish. As we came through here in the back, I picked the frog back up, started throwing it again, and I got bit. When I threw the frog in, I twitched it a couple times, and a big old bumblebee was buzzing around my head, and I was swatting at that, and that's when I got bit. So I wasn't actually ready to get bit, but you got to learn from that. I wasn't working the bait. The bait was just sitting there. So if I throw into a key area, I want to twitch that bait a couple times, and now I'm going to let it sit there for a second and see if that pause is what these fish need. Always be paying attention to what the fish are telling you. The fish will key you in on to what they want and what they don't want. And what the fish don't want is also very important. Eliminating water and eliminating baits is a big deal as you're trying to figure out what the bite is. Okay. Yeah, guys, we had a question about a chatterbait versus spinnerbait. The chatterbait puts off a little bit more vibration. The chatterbait's definitely been more popular in the last 10 years than the spinnerbait. I think because of just how versatile that chatterbait is. You can just slow retrieve it, and it really puts off so much vibration, almost like a crankbait. But it's a lot more weedless, similar to a spinnerbait. And then that spinnerbait. Oh, there we go. Oh, come on. All right, guys, I just got bit over this tree right now. And I'd switched up something I haven't shown you guys yet. This is a little prop bait. Also coming in one of your very near future boxes. And these little prop baits are topwater baits that can really work well, especially in the post spawn when these fish are kind of hanging out. They're not as aggressively feeding. This little prop bait makes noise. It kind of makes a grrr as you pull it, grrr, and then you pause it. It just sits there. And these fish, they hear it as you're getting closer to them. And the way that I was taught how to use this is, as you're coming over some wood, the fish might be down 5-6 feet, but as you slowly get towards that wood, that fish will kind of start rising a little bit, and it'll hear that noise again, and it'll rise a little bit. So as you finally get to that actual target, that fish is ready to just pound it. And it's not so much of a big, loud noise. It's just a nice little commotion. And this time of the year, with all the little juvenile little bait fish and baby bass, all the little things being born, they really scurry along on top of the water. So bass really start to look for things up against the surface, and a little prop bait like this just really can get the fish chewing. Ooh, there is a big bass on this piece of wood here. I didn't see this wood when I came up. I wasn't sure if he was swimming along or that he churned and he's like locked on it like a bed. So there is a big, yeah. Oh, it's good. Retrieval. That's Justin that asked that question. Justin, good question about retrieval. You know, and you heard bass are not that fast. Bass are fast when they want to be. And a lot of times by speeding up the retrieve, you don't give a bass long enough to question what they're going to go get. And so a bass is the top of the food chain. And they basically are going to pounce on something and not worry about it. They're not worried about being eaten. And so if they don't get a good look at something, they're just going to actually just try to eat it. So that being said, you can never reel really too fast for a bass if he really wants it. But this time of the year, you do, and actually all times of the year, you've really got to play around with the different retrieves. As you can see right now, I'm throwing this prop bait. I'm giving these fish quite a lot of time to hit this bait. The retrieve's taking a while. And then bass in general, they like some kind of direction change or something different. If you're slowly, just constantly reeling something through the water column, oh, there's about an 8-pound bass right here. Holy cow. Where is he going? That's a big, big fish. So as you're reeling through the water column, let's say this is a crankbait right now and I'm slowly reeling. Every once in a while, you can stop that retrieve or you can speed it up a little bit a couple times. So as that bait's coming through, it'll make a little erratic motion. And that will be a high percentage of the time when the bass actually strikes the bait. I had a fish bite this on the first cast, or one of the first few casts, and now nothing. Oh, there's a fish nose right up to it. All right. So we've seen now 2 fish, with one that actually hit this bait and another one that just came up and checked it out. And that was around wood. So it may be, so Justin, this may be an opportunity that maybe I'm not retrieving this thing fast enough. Maybe I do need to actually work this bait a little more. Maybe they're getting a better look at it, or too good of a look at it. Maybe I need to have something I can work faster. But I know that there are fish. I saw that huge fish cruising around. I know there's fish relating to the wood right here. And then we've got a big old piece of wood, a gnarly log in the middle of these lily pads right now. That just looks money because we've caught fish on the frog shallow. We've seen big fish on the wood right here. So that piece of wood right there looks fantastic. And as I get a little bit closer and I get the right angle, I'm going to pick the frog up again and see if I can't get something to go. But if you guys see that on the GoPro right there, right in front of me, that is a nasty, nasty looking piece of structure. If I was a bass, that's where I'd be hanging out right now. Man, it just feels so nice out here. This is good to be out here. If you guys are enjoying this, hit that thumbs up. Let me know that you are enjoying our time out on the water today. This is a good way to spend a Tuesday. All right. We're going to throw to the right, and then we'll throw to the left of this thing. This looks gnarly here. Oh man, I am very shallow. All right, now to the left of it. I don't know how. Yeah. There are some young anglers watching right now. Avery and his brother, thanks for tuning in. They want to know if I have any advice for them. And, you know, I'm not sure what your guys' skill level, how long you guys been bass fishing and stuff, but I know that as is any kind of sport or any activity that you're trying to improve. And bass fishing is always about learning new things, improving your skills. When you are new to bass fishing or trying to learn, I recommend that you guys try to learn one new technique. You learn what your go-to move is. In basketball, I used to fake left, go right every single time. And they called it the McNasty. And they always used to say, when are you ever going to go left? And my answer was, when they stop me going right, then I'll figure out another move. And that's the same thing with bass fishing. You want to have a lure that you just feel comfortable with. And that's going to change depending on where you live in the country and the water, the different lakes that you fish. For me, in California, I can fish a lipless crankbait at most of the waterways. And so my go-to bait is a lipless crankbait. That's something that pretty much any body of water I go to, I'll be able to do my hot lap, throw in a lipless crankbait, and I'll figure out what's going on. And if I have to make adjustments to different lures, I can do that. But that lipless crankbait really helps me figure it out. So for you guys, for you young anglers, I would try to figure out what your go-to bait is, what your confidence lure is going to be. And for most guys starting out, that usually is some kind of stick bait, some kind of Cinco style lure, because those Cincos or those soft stick baits really catch fish, and they can be rigged a bunch of different ways. That was basically the bait that I started catching fish with the most when I was first starting out. It's a good question, guys. All right, I'm going to punch a couple more times in here, and then I'm going to go work that wood. And these lily pads are solid. I can barely get through. So this little patch I'm fishing right here is a pretty big patch. And I didn't get bit. I'm not seeing any in here. But as I look right in front of me right there, I've got a little bit more of a, the lone little patch. And that actually is looking a little bit more appealing to me. There's another little patch right there. So I like throwing these lone little patches. For some reason too, that if there is a bass on there, sometimes they're just maybe a little bit more aggressive. I don't know what it is, but the isolated stuff always seems to produce a lot better than the big patches of any kind of vegetation. Man, this just looks good. All right. Justin, in July, how deep will bass go? Well, if you're living up north, if you're in the northern states, Minnesota, Wisconsin, July a lot of times is there might be fish spawning, so they're going to be up shallow. They're going to be doing what they're doing in California in July, what they're doing right now here. But when things get warmer, the fish, they will go really deep. They'll go to the thermocline. And the thermocline is depending on the temp of the water is going to depend where that thermocline is. And they'll go sit right at that thermocline. So they can go as deep as 60 feet in the summertime. But remember, the more cover you have, the more structure and vegetation you have up shallow, the more they will hold up shallow, or at least some of them will stay up shallow. But if you go to some of these Tennessee River lakes, those fish will move out to the ledges in the summertime, and they will bunch up by the thousands out on these ledges, out in 15 to 20 feet of water. And you'll see boats out in the middle of the lake. It'll look like guys are fishing in the middle of the lake, and they're actually all grouped up on these ledges, chasing these schools of fish. Oh man, there is a bass sitting on this log, but up high on the log. So these guys might really be looking for some topwater stuff. All right, Chris, you're struggling. You're seeing fish up shallow, but you can't get them to bite. What's your best bait option? Well, keep in mind, if you see a fish, that fish can see you. And so if you're seeing that fish, you're at a big disadvantage. Now, if they're locked on beds and stuff, then they might not be as worried about you as they normally are other times of the year. But if you're seeing fish up shallow and they're not hitting, they're skittish and everything, they're not want to touch a bait, well, they're probably aware of you. And so if you see fish up shallow, figure out why, what kind of terrain they're in, what kind of structure they're relating to, and then find that structure somewhere else on the bank and anticipate there being fish there. And fish that without seeing those fish, but feeling comfortable there probably is fish right there. And those are the fish you will have a better chance of catching. You haven't seen them yet. They hopefully haven't seen you, and you'll be able to, they won't be as skittish. Some other things are just trying some weightless worms. If you're fishing shallow water, you don't want to have too much commotion. And using weightless worms, they land real soft. You can kind of jerk them, get them a little erratic motion, and you don't need them to sink very fast because you're fishing very shallow water. So hopefully that works. So we're slowing down just a little bit here, trying some different things, only because I saw a large, delicious bass on this tree right here. But once we finish this tree, we'll start fishing our way out of this cove, and we're going to fish this other bank. And right now I am flipping. Ooh, is that something moving down there? Okay, so I know because I know this lake, I know there's wood up here at the mouth of this. As we work our way back out, there's going to be more wood. So once again, so I'm seeing the fish right here. They're seeing me as well. My boat is enormous. This is like a giant. This isn't sneaky. There's a huge disturbance above them, and so that may be what is scaring them off, making them not want to bite. But as I come to this other wood, I'm going to be a lot more cautious and try to make longer casts up to the wood and hit the targets before these fish see me. So now I'm going to go back. Say that question one more time. Bass Geek asked, where do I focus on lakes that that have grass mats. And I'm not sure. Basically, when I fish mats, I'm doing it the same way I'm fishing lily pads or fishing any kind of vegetation. And that's looking for what's different. You find some healthy stretches, you find some green looking lively areas, and then you fish the little nuances of it. Do any of them stick out a little bit further? If you could find any patches, that's always the best. Little isolated patches. I look for signs of life around them. If there's birds, if you're seeing like the egrets and stuff standing on top of the mats. Oh, there we go. Oh man, I just got smashed. And guys, look, I'm right out here in the middle. Oh, look at this thing. Holy cow, this is not a bass. Wait till you see this. Guys, this bluegill is enormous. Look at that fat little guy. Holy cow. All right, I'm gonna get this hook out and then we are definitely weighing this guy. So I'm gonna hold him up one more time and I wanna know how much you guys think this enormous bluegill weighs. And I was seeing some little beds right through here that look like little bluegill beds. And usually if you find bluegill beds, there's gonna be bass, out a little bit deeper. And so I thought that's what I just smoked was a nice bass, but instead it's just the King Kong bluegill. This is awesome. And really, bluegill are actually more aggressive and they seem to be a little bit more mean than bass are. They're just smaller fish. All right, let's see how much this bluegill weighs. All right, this guy weighs 1 pound, 11 ounces. That is a fat bluegill. Look at the belly on that thing. Holy cow. That is not missing meals. All right, so we know there's bluegill up on beds. So let's put that into our little book of notes. There's actually like a little vein that comes out right here. It's just a little gravel bar. And it's lighter and you can see little circles, little lighter circles where these bluegill have fanned out their nest. Oh yeah, and I'm seeing all kinds of, not seeing the bluegills as much, but I'm seeing their nests. So signs of them. Oh, there's rocks down here. It is gravelly looking down there. So this is fantastic. I'm just gonna hope to follow this out until it gets just a little bit deeper. Because at a certain point, there's gonna be a spot where these bass stage, the bus stop, where they're all hanging out before they come in to the shallows or when they move back out to recover. And that's what I wanna find is one of those little bus stops. And you guys will see me looking into the water a lot of the time here, and it's because I'm trying to get any visual cues as well. I'm seeing little bare spots and that are possible little nests. Like right now, I just saw a little lighter circle right here. Oh, that might be two bass rubbing on each other here. But I'm looking for little lighter spots and stuff. The water's not that clear. It's been a little bit of wind back here, so I can't really make it out, but I do see a lighter spot. And I did see a little flash, and I think there's a fish on this nest. And so I'll throw a bait up on there, see if anything happens. If not, I'll keep going. But you can catch these fish also. If you're seeing fish in a certain depth zone, you can just keep going down the bank and throwing your lipless in that depth zone. And you'll end up getting the next fish that you don't see. Oh man, there's big old rocks down here. This just looks beautiful. right, go ahead, Rachel. Okay, AP asked fluoro or mono on a Texas rig. It's not that important. If you've got real clear water or you're really trying to feel that bait out down there, I'm going to lean towards fluorocarbon. And a lot of the time I'm using fluorocarbon just because it's a better line for most applications. But I don't want, it's actually more expensive as well. So I hate telling people to buy something that they don't really need, especially if they're just starting out in a technique, trying to learn a technique. You don't need to go spend all that much money. If all I had is mono on, I wouldn't care. That wouldn't faze me one bit unless I was trying to fish a competition or something like that, and the water was real clear, or there was, or there were limbs that were kind of deep or something like that I really needed to feel out and have a lot of contact with, because that fluorocarbon it transfers the vibrations. It transfers anything you hit down there and stuff a little bit better than that mono. Holy cow, man. There are just bass cruising all over the place. And it looks like the surface of the moon right here. There's just all these little craters that I'm pretty sure are bluegill beds. So I'm seeing some bluegill on them every once in a while. They're not that big. The bass usually will have their beds a little bit more spaced out from each other. Ooh, first time. Who asked that question? Sorry. Nice. Bass or Bus asked if there's any tips for his first time fishing a tournament. First of all, have fun. Fishing tournaments is a whole nother level of bass fishing. We start off fishing, competing with our buddies and stuff and having little contests and things with our family members. And once you fish that first tournament, man, it is so much fun competing on competing against a bunch of other guys that are out trying to catch as big a bass as they can. Just getting into bass fishing tournaments, I would recommend that your first goal in a tournament is to catch a limit. Go out there and worry about catching 5 fish, if that's what the limit is. I'm assuming it's 5 fish limit. Go out and catch your first 5 fish, no matter what size those fish are, and then worry about catching bigger fish. And if you start approaching a lake every time and you're worried about, and you consistently can catch a limit, you will put yourself in a position to start really having some success. But if you're going for the win every time, if you're trying to go big when you're just starting out, you'll strike out. Tournament fishing is very different from just going out and fun fishing. And if you don't kind of set some reasonable goals to help yourself gain momentum and confidence throughout a day, you can really get spun out easily. And I'm not just saying that from personal experience. I commentate on the FLW. I watch the best in the world compete, and I get to talk to them and ask them questions. And when they have a crummy tournament, I get to ask, why did you suck? What happened? What would you do differently? And when rookies come out and have a terrible first few tournaments and then slowly figure it out and turn their season around or come out and have a great second season, I always ask them, like, what happened? And most of them say they underestimated just going out and catching a limit. Just go out, get that limit. You're now not going to bring not bring a limit to the scales. You have a little bit more confidence, you feel a little bit more comfortable, and you have something to work up from. And the rookies that end up doing that end up building from there and really having good seasons. All right, so we are throwing the frog again, but we're going to be coming up on some wood here like I was talking about in just a minute. So I'm going to throw this frog up into the space. There's a little water between the lily pads and the bank. But then I'm going to pick up my little punch bait, that little craw bait, and I'll punch the outside of here. And then I'll probably, oh man, that's a big fish. Man, guys, there are big fish cruising all over the place. He doesn't seem to have any kind of purpose. He's just cruising. Let's see here. Okay, so now I'm just going to flip this along the edges right here. I want to know if anyone's wearing their life vests. I said in the beginning, I want you to feel like you're out of the boat with me today. So go into your garage, go into your boat, put your life vest on, and send us a picture of you wearing your life vest while watching the show. And if you guys do that, we'll make sure we're going to show that in our next live show. For sure. We'll throw you guys some shout outs. And then we've got some other things going as well, guys. If you guys want some money, we are giving away some money. We have been running the hashtag BassMoneyLTB. And if you take a picture with one or all, if you just take a picture of one of the baits from your last lucky tackle box and post it up on Instagram or Facebook, use the hashtag BassMoneyLTB. We're giving away $100 every week for 5 weeks to our favorite one. So guys, an easy way to get some money. Take a little creative picture, put the hashtag on, and you can win $100. And I think we're going to announce a winner. Is that today or is that on Thursday or Wednesday? When were we planning on doing it? Oh, you do have a picture ready? Okay, yeah. Let's announce one right now then. Let's give somebody $100. All right, guys. The winner for this week is Aaron Hall. Congratulations. You just won 100 big ones for taking a picture. You're getting paid right now. Holy cow. Nice. The picture, he is holding up a bunch of fish that he caught on the spinnerbait. I like it. Thanks for sending in that picture. And guys, if you want a shot at winning $100, send us in the pictures. And guys, they don't have to be fishing related pictures. It can be something silly around the house. I don't care. Get creative with it. If we like it, we can vote yours the $100 winner for the week. They do not seem to be biting in this. Oh, we just spooked a bass right up against the surface right here. Okay. What does that mean? It means they might be sitting higher in the water column, right underneath these little lily pads. So I'm going to take our little froggy friend here, and we're going to work the outside of this a little bit more. All I'm going to do is just drag this guy along the top. We'll see if we can't get something to react. I want to know what you guys would throw at home. You're looking at this. I know you're thinking this looks very fishy looking. What would you guys throw right now? What's your go-to bait right here? quite a few fish. We caught one fish on the frog. We missed one on that little prop bait on the top water. So both our fish have come on the top water today. And then we caught that little porky bluegill on the lipless. All right, so these fish are sitting a little bit higher. Here we go, we got some more wood. I've seen some big fish along the wood. That was a huge one in the back. We saw plenty of fish relating to the wood. So any little stick-ups that I see here, I want to make sure that I fish them with something that I can really get down there. Oh, and sometimes this wood can be hard to see. So you make sure you don't want to miss it. This one I kind of got too close to. But I see some more wood that's tucked back here. That's going to be where a big one is going to be hanging out. And so I got to remember, though, that I've been seeing these fish sitting high in the water column. So be ready as that bait falls through. It may get bit immediately. These fish may be sitting just underneath there. And that's something else. Like, this just looks fantastic. We've got two different types of cover. We've got the wood and the lily pads. So that's another high percentage area you want to look at. We've got a big stretch of lily pads here. And it's hard to fish at all. But if you find little areas like wood that's in the lily pads, that's going to be your higher percentage areas to fish. Boat is caught in the wood. So people at home, I want to know, do you guys fish from kayaks? Do you fish from the shore more? Do you fish from a bass boat? What is your mode? What is your most frequent mode of fishing? Good. Who said that? Justin, you said you don't have anything that you can punch through heavy stuff like the lily pads right here that's not going to get snagged up. Well, I'm not sure if you're a subscriber to Lucky Tackle Box, but the post-spawn box, the next box that's coming, has the entire setup for you to punch this kind of stuff. Mustad has put together kits for us that have a 3/4 ounce tungsten weight. It has the little bobber stops to keep the weight next to the bait, the hook you need, and then those Gambler little craw baits are the perfect setup to punch that thick stuff. All right, guys, we are hitting the mouth of this little creek channel. So as I come to the mouth here, I'm going to make some more casts. I'm going to make one more cast down the bank, but then I'm going to make some casts out towards the middle to see if we can't find that little bus stop. But these fish are a little bit more active than I thought. We saw quite a few fish moving around. And the fish that are up shallow, they weren't jumping in the boat. They weren't smashing my bait. So I'm not sure how active those fish are. But if I were to go to some other little coves in this lake, I would definitely throw the frog up shallow and stuff. I would fish a lot of the same stuff. But I think I didn't see a ton of fish up shallow. I think there's still some fish to be found on these transition areas, on the mouths of these, you know, like I said, the bus stops. We need to find some more bus stops. Guys, this tiny little breeze we got coming through here is perfect. A breeze like this is your friend this time of the year. As these fish are shallow, they get a little breeze. It disrupts the surface, and it makes them feel a little bit more comfortable up shallow. So they will not only be up shallow more, but they will also be a little bit more active up shallow. They'll feed more and stuff. So this is good weather to get a bite right now. Oh shoot, it's already been an hour. It's already been an hour and a half. Oh my gosh. Time flies when we were fishing. I want to go around the corner real quick because I want to go to one last spot and fish a jerkbait. So guys, we're going to move around. I'm going to answer some questions and then we're going to finish the show. I didn't realize how late it was. All right, guys, we're moving around. Rachel, you want to give me some questions? What was the question? I'm here.
Question, sorry.
What was the question? Sorry.
A good question about
Texas. Good question about a Texas rig. What pound test line should you use? It depends what the cover you're fishing.
And
if you're using a weight.
So if you're just
using the traditional bullet weight with a little worm or something like that, and there's not much heavy vegetation stuff, you can use a spinning rod, because a spinning rod you can really feel that bait real well. You can slowly work it, and so you can use anywhere from 8 to 10 pound line. If there's thick, nasty, vegetation stuff, you're throwing into some gnarly stuff, or the water's. Sorry, Kate, if you want to call me back, I just dropped the call. But you can go up to, on a bait casting setup, you can go up to 15, 17 pound line on a Texas rig. I mean, technically, that's what my punch setup is. That big bait I'm throwing, that's a Texas rig. But I'm using a 3/4 ounce weight, and I'm using a big hook, and I'm using 20 pound line on that, because I'm really flipping that into nasty cover. All right, there's one spot I want to try, guys. This is a bus stop that I found about a month ago, and the fish were loading up to go up to spawn, and they were all stopping here, and then on the way out, they were stopped. I was catching fish that were pre-spawn and post-spawn off the spot, so it's been a good area. Today has been really calm out here, so it hasn't been too active. Now we've had a little breeze coming through here. I want to give it one more try, because this little breeze and stuff, I think, can really turn these fish on. It's a little bit later in the afternoon now, and we might be able to get a last fish here. And then we got to pick somebody. Rachel, I'll let you pick from the comments who is going to win the lure for this afternoon. So far, it's the lipless crankbait. Oh, no, actually, yeah, I guess. No. So far, it's the frog is the only bass that we've got. So if you want to look through the comments and pick out somebody that's going to win a frog. All right, Justin Gillis is who Rachel picks. He does a lot of walleye fishing, but he's trying to get more into bass fishing. So, Justin, I'm going to send you the frog, but you also asked the question about having the setup to be able to punch stuff. So I'm actually going to cut off that little setup that I have right now for the punching, and I'll send that out to you as well. So, Justin, we appreciate you being an active participant on today's live show. I'm going to get one here. I am definitely going to get one here. I'm loving this little wind. It's cooled down just a little bit now that it's evening time. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, there's going to be a hungry bass right here. There we go. There we go. I talked him on to the line. Oh, he's going to jump. He's going to jump. There we go. Oh, 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 that's a good fish. And he has inhaled this jerkbait. Holy cow. Yes, yes, yes. How about that? Got hooked. That doesn't suck. That is a big old bass right there. That feels good. The way these fish are moving around, and I was seeing them moving around shallow. I was seeing them up in the water columns a little bit. It just made me think that jerkbait may be the perfect bait to try out. And holy cow, that paid off. That didn't take long at all. Let's weigh that fish. Rachel, Kate, what do you guys think? You've seen a lot of bass weighed in now. What's your guess? I'll show that one more time. Did I lose? 3.4 for Kate says. Yes. 2.8, 3.4 are the guesses. Here we go. I think Kate's going to be closer here. And the official weight, 3 pounds, 12 ounces. That is a great bass. And the thing about that fish was it really ate this bait. Sometimes they just nip at it. Sometimes sometimes I miss them on this bait. When they eat it like that, that usually means that the jerkbait, that whatever you're fishing is the ticket right now. And when you've got a breeze like this, 4 to 6 foot visibility, the sun up that's really reflecting the light, a jerkbait can be fantastic during the entire spring season. So I'm going to give it about, let's give it a couple more casts here. Let's just see what this spot actually has here. Because we may have just pulled up on the juice. And you know what I might have to do too? We're going to end live, but then I'll go up on Instagram as well. And we'll just have a little stagnant feed on Instagram live and see if I can't grab some more fish off here. Because this feels good. This just felt fantastic. When I pulled up on this spot, everything about it just felt right. We got anything else we need to do to close out the show, you guys? Do we have any other announcements we need to make? Yep, guys, keep posting your pictures. Tag your fishing pictures with Lucky Tackle Box, so you can share in on your fishing adventures with us. But also, if you want to be entered for the Bass Money, the hashtag is Bass Money LTB. But this is going to do it for us on live today. We'll be back live on Thursday evening. So make sure you look out for that. And we're going to have some fun. We're going to go over some different baits. And we're going to talk about what baits I'm going to be using when I go live on the water on Saturday. I'm going out in a pond boat. That is going to be a lot of fun. And I think you guys will really like that one as well. It's going to be a lake that I've never caught a bass on. And so that's what this whole week is going to be about fishing water that you've never fished. Figuring out and kind of unlocking a new body of water. So anyway, guys, that does it for us live. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, guys, no one works harder to help you fish better. I'm Travis Moran, and I will catch you guys out on the water. Peace.